Many blessings. Today I'm going to share with you very quickly how to use ChatGPT to do marketing and content creation things. One of the hardest things to do when you're trying to run a business or create content or help people is figure out what are the best titles, what are the best ideas, how to write all these descriptions, how to write ads, how to put it all together. All these things take huge amounts of brain power and loads of time. It drains our mind. It's actually very, very difficult. Over the years, I've made millions of dollars and had millions of views of my content. But it's been hard because I have to think about all this different stuff. ChatGPT is a miracle. It's a miracle because it does what would normally take me or someone else a long time. I'm in a state of shock sometimes. I just ask it to do something and boom. It's like it's done in a matter of seconds what would possibly take weeks to come up with, right? So this is a shortcut to getting most of the way there. And I want to be clear about this at the beginning. It doesn't do it 100% perfect. It does it about 80 to 90% right. And your job as the human being, different from a robot, is to decide whether or not what it's done is good and useful or bad and not useful, right? Because it just knocks out all this stuff. Our skill, our unique human skill, is deciding whether it's good or not. So let's jump into how to use this. And I have removed a lot of stuff, and there could be a whole bunch of extra trainings around all these different details. I'm just going to give you the bare bones so you can get started right away. So ChatGPT, I'm just going to call it Chat, is a miracle. It makes everything really easy. What is it useful for? It's useful for creating ideas for videos and content. It's useful for creating outlines for videos, writing descriptions, writing emails, writing ads, marketing pages. It can give you feedback and suggestions. It can do research for you. It can rewrite things, create stories. It can edit your stuff. It can do so many things. We're just going to focus on content, ideas, and marketing stuff so that you can put videos out there that have really good titles, really good subtitles. They can write the description for you. If you get that, then half your work has been done really quickly, and then you actually can go ahead and create your content. So how does it work? The first thing to do is to sign up for it if you haven't already, and you go to openai.com, and in here somewhere you'll be able to sign up, try ChatGPT, right? And then you go ahead and you create an account, okay? And we're not going to get into that. You can figure that out. Once you have signed up for your account, you will have something that looks a bit like this, okay? And you can choose, at the time of recording, ChatGPT 4 is the best one. And it's really basic. All you do is type commands into this little box, right? Now, here's the secret. You need to give it information before it can give you good stuff back. There's an expression, garbage in, garbage out. If you give it wrong information, it's going to come up with a bunch of nonsense, right? So you have to tell it a lot of stuff before you use it. This is the secret for it to be effective, okay? And I'm going to share with you exactly what you need to tell it for it to work properly. So, first thing you need to tell it is, what is your audience? Who is this for? Anything you do. Is it for 90-year-old women living in South Korea in a retirement home? Right? Is it for 25-year-old kickboxers living in London? Right? Who is it for? Right? Is it for spiritual people who want to experience higher states of consciousness? You need to know who they are. What's this kind of age group, the gender, the beliefs, the location? Where are these people? This is basic stuff. It applies to anything we do. Who is it for? So it's really worth thinking about that. Who's your ideal audience? Then what is it that these people need or want? What are their pain points, their desires? The more you can tell Chat who they are and what they need and want, the better it will be able to come up with ideas. This is absolutely essential. Then you tell it what type of style do you want it? Do you want it to be, friendly and pleasant? Do you want it to be authoritative and hardcore and convincing? And I'm going to go through this in a bit more detail to give you some ideas of how to come up with these answers. And then you need to tell it what you're working on. Like, we're going to work on a series of videos. We're going to work on a whole bunch of article ideas. We're going to work on emails, right? So you need to tell it what it's coming up with. We're going to come up with meditation video ideas. So it needs to know audience, problem, style, and purpose. And if you don't tell it this, then it won't be very effective. So let's come up with an example. Okay, so this is something that I might tell it to do. We're working on a project to create spiritual videos for YouTube. All right, so that's the purpose of it. The audience is spiritually minded, mostly women in the USA, Canada, UK, and Australia. They're 35 to 65. They've already done some spiritual practices. What do they want? They want more spiritual connection. The tone is compassionate, spiritual, and inspiring. Okay, now you could change this to anything you want, right? I'm just giving an example. And then you ask, does it make sense? Okay, it's just so that it reflects back to you, all right? So I'm going to cut this information here. Who is it for? What's the audience? What's it all about? This is very basic. And I'm going to paste it into this chat here. And what does it say? It says, yes, it makes perfect sense creating spiritual videos targeting women of this age group. They're engaged in spiritual practices. And it's told me that it gets it. All right, so that's very, very important. Okay, so we've set the tone. Now, I could tell you all these extra tips about all these other things to go deeper, but that's good enough for now if you just have that. The next thing is we need to tell it what we want it to do, right? It's like our servant. Yeah, it's our servant. It's here to support us, right? So you need to be very specific, otherwise it will be confused. You need to be clear, like I want 100 video topics. They're going to be 5 to 10 minutes long, right? You need to tell it exactly what you want. I want you to create a bunch of emails. I want you to create a bunch of, not a bunch of, I want you to create 100 titles. I want you to create 10 emails. I want you to write a book, right? I want you to outline a book. You need to tell it what you want. So I'm just going to paste this in. I want you to create 100 video topics for my ideal audience. These will be 5 to 10 minutes long. Is that clear? Okay, so I'm just going to paste this in here. And then it gets back. Okay. And it's decided it wants to give me 20 videos just because it doesn't want to give too much, right? So there it goes. 7 simple daily practices to deepen your spiritual connection, the power of gratitude, transform your life in 30 days, mindfulness for busy women, right? These are good ideas, right? I could sit around all day long coming up with a list. 20 of these would take a long time. Look what's happened. It's just knocking them out. As we speak, here it goes, right? So it's coming up with that. And as it does that, I'm going to get onto the next thing here. So once it's done this, we need to review and upgrade, right? Because it doesn't get 100% right. It gets sometimes pretty close to 100%, but there's always some little thing going on. So we're going to look at this list and we're going to say, okay, let's have a look, and you go through it. Take your time. This is uniquely the human factor, right? As you can see, the robots, right, the AI computers can do a lot of what we can do. What they can't do is read this list and decide which ones are the best. And maybe they can do that, I don't know. But this is something at the moment that we have have like a mastery over compared to computers. We're discerning whether or not it makes any sense. So if haven't got time to do this now, takes a bit more work, but you would go through this and say, okay, this is great. You might say create another 10 based on this, and you could say let's say this is one that you like, discovering your life purpose through spiritual practices, right? You say, okay, that one is good. Create another 10 that are like this. So it comes up with a bunch of more. Okay, so this is very, 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 very useful. Then you can go through this, you can print it out, you can have it on your laptop, and you've got these video titles, right? What can you do next once you have all this? So let's just pick this one here, the power of reflection. I could say create a video outline based on this topic. So now it's going to take that one title and it's going to give me an idea of what could go into the video, right? Because it understands what a good YouTube video is. And you could then review this and say, great, I could use it exactly as it is. Maybe I should have different steps, right? It's giving you some ideas. I don't recommend, by the way, just blindly doing everything it says, right? That's a lot of people will do that, but quality comes from our interaction, our relationship between our mind and our intentions and what this thing comes up with. And they're not going to be exactly aligned. So you have to kind of go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So for example, what it's come up with here is, I think, too much, right? It's too complicated. You can't put this in a video in 5 minutes. There's too much here. So I might have to break this into smaller videos. So you have to think about, how does this apply? Let's just say, for the sake of argument, that we're going to just make it simpler. So I'm just going to say, make this video simpler so I can do it in 5 minutes, right? And even if you spell it wrong, it still understands. So it's going to try and come up with a simpler version, right? So you can go back and forth. You can say, do it again, but remove this stuff and add these things. So you tell it what to do, and you kind of go back and forth, have a little chat with it. Let's say that we have now got our title that we want for our video. We have got our outline that we're going to do. You could also ask it things like, find a good quote to put in the video based on this topic, and you'll find like 10 quotes, and you can pick which one you want. Find a study about this, a scientific study, and you'll go and find one, and then you can make sure, is this a real study? What is the actual source? Because sometimes it makes things up, right? It's not an actual study, it makes up a study. So you want to make sure that it's got proper sources, these are real quotes, and then you can go ahead and print that out, and you can record your video, right? There it is, you've got the whole outline. So let's imagine that we've already got that. Now we're moving on to description for our video. So you can say, okay, create a description for this video to put on YouTube, and also add tags and other SEO, right? Now, so this normally would take a long time to write a description, to think about the tags, to make it SEO optimized, search optimization, right? Search engine optimization. That's like normally a whole different job, and then the description's a different job, and the title's a different job, and doing the video, and then planning the video. And look at it, it just knocks it out, right? It's giving ideas for the timestamps. It's thinking about resources. I mean, this would normally take hours to put this together, right? I've sat down and tried to do this exact sort of work, and I'm like, there's so many steps. There's about 50 steps involved in producing a proper video, right? And Chat's just knocking this thing out. Look at the speed of it. It's absolutely incredible. It's not perfect. It's going to screw stuff up and do things that don't work, but it's pretty excellent. It's 80 to 90% spot on. So it's got tags, it's got a description. I could say, how can you improve the SEO for this title and description. Do it and send. Do it now. Just do it now, right? So now it's coming up with an SEO version. So it's just upgraded it, right? So you can go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You can say please and thank you if you want, but it doesn't really care, If you say thank you, you're so great, it'll say, oh, thank you very much. So, you can talk to it, but it doesn't matter. So that is the essence of how to use it. Quick recap, give it really good information at the beginning. Who's the audience? What is the tone and the style? You can even cut and paste content that you already have done and say this is the sort of style of content. Don't give it too much, give it a little bit. And then it will use that. You can also say create this in the style of, let's say, Marianne Williamson or Deepak Chopra or Michael Singer or whoever it is, right? And if it knows about these people, it can take that style and use that style in what it comes up with. You could say, create 50 video ideas in the style of so-and-so, and it will come up with ideas based on that, as long as it knows who these people are. Right? And you can also tell it things like, this series is based on the philosophy of so-and-so, right? Do you know this person or this philosophy? And it will say, yes, it does, or yes, it doesn't, and you can make sure it does. Do you understand what is it? And once you understand that it understands the philosophy, then you say, okay, integrate that philosophy into the content. So then it can start pulling ideas from the philosophical background that you have into your work, right? It's genius. It's genius. Of course, there's going to be some misuse of this, no doubt. But it can certainly make people like us make our life a lot easier. So that's how you can use it for videos, descriptions, SEO, coming up with ideas for what to create in a video. You can use it to write emails. For example, if I said, write an email to send to our mailing list based on this video, right? Then it can write an email. So then you could just update this and send it off to your mailing list, right? Isn't that amazing, right? All this would take hours. This is like potentially a couple of days' work just right here, and it's done it while I'm talking to you, right? It's just miraculous. So go ahead, fiddle around with it. You can also tell it things like create a short video idea to promote this video that I could post on social media, and it'll come up with a version of that. Or create a social media post and it'll just knock it out. Right? So that is the essence of it. I could easily teach you a lot more stuff, but if you just do these things, you have mastered main things to get a really good value out of this, save you countless hours of your time, and really make everything you're doing so much easier. Well, there you go. You now have a new friend. You now have all this extra power. Enjoy, enjoy, enjoy. And with great power comes great responsibility. So may you do wonderful, inspired work. Talk to you soon.